We are now entering alt season, the end of the season when kind of like your main playstyle starts to taper off, and you might be looking for an alt to play on, whether you're a healer or a DPS or tank looking to join the best role in the game. This video is for you because we're going to be talking about my 3 picks of what you should play during this alt season. This part of the season is when a lot of people are starting to quit and play some other games until the next season starts or the next new content releases. But it's my favorite part of the season because I get to enjoy all of my alts. So let's talk about my 3 picks for the healers that you guys should try regardless of what your situation is in the game. Now, I do want to quickly say I am not going to talk about Resto Shaman, not because I don't think it's a great choice. In fact, I think it is the healer that you should play if you haven't played it yet. However, with that caveat comes the reason why it's not on this list, and that's because I think everyone and their mother has played Resto Shaman. If you're looking to heal, you've at least tried Resto Shaman this season, so that's why it doesn't make it on this list. But just know that if you have not tried it, likely my best answer would be, hey, try Resto Shaman. It's a good time, very powerful, has all the tools you need to get started as a healer. But instead, we're going to kick this list off with the next best option. So say that you are a tank player, or you're someone who has mained Resto Shaman all season and you enjoy the aspect of those roles in that class where you get to control how a dungeon goes. Tanks obviously have kits that are jam-packed full of CC, and so do Resto Shamans, so you can really control how the damage hits your party. Well, Holy Paladin kind of does the same thing. They don't have as much of an extensive kit as Resto Shaman. They don't have that AoE stun, the AoE knockup, the ranged kick. Like, they don't have all that juicy stuff, but they do have a melee kick and they also have a melee stun. So you do have a lot of CC and crowd control to control mobs, just not as much as Resto Shaman. However, where your role as a utility Swiss Army knife comes in is your defensive utility. You have a ton of CDs to cycle between and always pick and choose which one's best in the moment. And on top of stopping damage from happening by crowd controlling mobs, you also have Aura Mastery, your Devotion Aura, and Blessing of Sacrifice to really slow down incoming damage. I have been enjoying my Holy Paladin alt a ton this season. It is such a blast to play. And if you're wondering how it performs or what it does or why you should try it out, it really has 2 completely different play styles that you can play with right now. The first being the Avenging Crusader, like punch and kick, Mistweaver style build of Paladin, where once every minute you can enter this form, you can pop your wings, your main cooldown, and now your damaging buttons cycle a lot quicker and they heal based on the damage you do. It's a ton of fun, and you can pair that with their Lightsmith build to get some pretty serious damage by gifting your DPS players a sword that just enhances their damage, or you can gift your allies a shield just to smooth out the healing and make sure that no one takes damage. It really feels impactful and you feel like you always have a tool to deal with the different scenarios. Or you can play my favorite playstyle. I know it's weird. I'm not enjoying the Avenging Crusader build as much as a Mistweaver main you would think they would, but I'm really enjoying the Avenging Wrath, Holy Shock, Word of Glory, or technically Eternal Flame, Whack-a-Mole healer playstyle because I think it's so unique to this spec. And I think like Holy Priest kind of is the next in line for this, but Holy Paladin has really recaptured its identity through this build, in my opinion, and I am having so much fun. So how it works is you do the same cycle of buttons. You do your Judgment, your Crusader Strike, and your Holy Shocks to build your holy power, and then together your Holy Shocks and your Eternal Flames, or your Spender Word of Glory replacement, does so much shock healing, and that cycle of buttons is very nice, and you can just top up one person at a time, whack-a-mole their health bars to full. Or you can pair that with Beacon of Virtue, which is a 15-second cooldown. Yes, I'll let that sink in. 15-second cooldown. That turns your single target healing into some cleaving healing. So now your strength, which is your single target healing, covers your weakness, which is your AoE healing. It is so much fun. I highly recommend Holy Paladin for this reason. You'll feel very capable of handling most scenarios, and I think it'll be a good choice for your alt season. But what if you're a DPS player and you're looking to try healing for the first time, but you don't want to get fully engaged and play like your Resto Druids and have to worry about hot management and all this stuff? You don't want to fully lose your identity as a DPS player. Well, That's where Discipline Priest comes in. Now, do not get me wrong. I want to say this up front. I believe that Disc Priest is the hardest healer to master, and it definitely is hard to play in pug environments. However, that challenge is kind of what makes me enjoy playing it right now. I don't think that it has as many tools as Resto Shaman and Holy Paladin, and it definitely suffers from lacking a kick. However, if your group, given that your group is on top of kicks, and to at least a certain extent, the amount of defensive tools that Disc Priest has to prevent damage from actually meaningfully affecting your party's health bars makes it so engaging and so unique. You have Power Word Barrier to keep your whole group from taking giant smacks of damage and to slow down the incoming damage. You also have Rapture to spread shields on your party to combat either AoE or single target mechanics. You're also pretty unique in the fact that you have two charges of your tank external. I say tank external, but really you can use these on your party members to slow down single target damage, which is really helpful because healing through single target damage is your biggest weakness. But what is your strength as Disc Priest if that's not strength enough having all of those tools at your disposal? Well, you really move health bars and do big damage in the meantime. So, how does Disc Priest work, or at least what is it playing with right now? They really are one of the specs in the game that has one hero talent tree. They do have two. They have Oracle and the other one, Void Weaver, or whatever it's called. But you don't play Oracle, you just go the Void one. Why can't I remember its name? I don't know, but that is your choice, and it just enhances everything that Disc Priest wants to be doing and pushes them to the next level. On top of that, they are very powerful. You're seeing a lot of Disc Priest play in the top end because of just how much damage and healing they can put out in a dungeon. But if I'm talking about healers, why do I keep talking about their damage? Well, that is how Disc Priest does its healing, which is why I believe it is a perfect choice for you if you are a DPS player just looking to meme around or mess around on a healer alt. Because Disc Priest applies a buff to your allies whenever you heal them or do your single target healing, or press Power Word Radiance to just quickly apply that buff to all of your allies, and that buff is called Atonement. Now, while an ally has the buff Atonement, any damage that you do, any damage, is going to convert into healing on those allies. So all of a sudden, if you have Atonement on your party, then you're basically playing a DPS spec to do the most healing. The most healing possible is the most damage possible. So your DPS mentality transfers into great healing mentality when you're playing Discipline Priest. In a very simple way to like an oversimplification of how this spec is working is you basically have an on and an off. So you are either off and you're just doing a little bit of damage, a little bit of healing here and there, or you're on and you are cranking damage, utilizing your whole hero talent tree and doing a ton of healing in the meantime. And the way that you switch yourself on is by summoning your pet, which then puts yourself in this dark stance where now all of your spells or most of your damaging spells are converted into shadow damage, and then all of your hero talent tree, everything on your talent tree just pushes your shadow damage to the next level and you crank a ton of damage. So all you have to do is spread Atonement on your party and then just blast damage. It does get more complicated than that as you push higher keys and as you pug and enter that pug environment. But for the base level, if you're just looking to do some like non-meaningful keys like some +3s, some +5s on an alt, this is the perfect alt to take your DPS brain into and just mash those buttons and just come out as what looks like a great healer. Now, before we get into this last pick, I want to say that the other healers that I didn't mention, there's nothing wrong with them. They are just as fun. It's just that these three healers are what I'm having the most fun on, and also what you guys are coming to me telling me that you're having the most fun on as well. So I wanted to kind of recommend these because of that reason. Now, for this last healer, it kind of encompasses everything that I've said about the previous two, where Paladin and Shaman really can control mobs, and Discipline rewards you for being a good DPS player and being able to maximize your damage. Mistweaver Monk, I know, surprise, the Mistweaver guy mentions Mistweaver as a spec that you should try out. Mistweaver Monk is all of that all in one. You have so much mob control. You can use Ring of Peace to boop mobs. You can leg sweep to stun. You have a melee kick, like a melee range and melee cooldown kick. You can also paralyze a mob, which nowadays removes enrage effects, which is so good in this dungeon pool. So you can really control the mobs. But what makes this spec so special recently is some of the recent changes. Now, if you've been following my channel, odds are you have seen just how amazing and awesome and cool and thematic these changes are. But just in case you haven't, take a look at Jade Empowerment plus Jadefire Teachings. Jade Empowerment, every time that you use Thunder Focus Tea, which is on a 30-second cooldown, or you can have 2 charges of it so you can use it more often. Every time you use that, the next time that you press Crackling Jade Lightning, it's going to hit AoE, do 800% more damage, and thanks to Jadefire Teachings and Ancient Teachings, that will then convert that damage into healing. So Jadefire Teachings, hands down, is the single coolest healing ability in the game right now, in my opinion, and likely in the opinion of many others. It kind of does everything that Ultimate Penitence wanted to do, but for a much lesser cost and much less risky than Ultimate Penitence. This spell has made Mistweaver, well, okay, arguably, I would make this argument, Mistweaver was already so much more fun than all of the other healers. I would make that argument, let's be real, I would win it. But nowadays, thanks to Jade Empowerment, it just skyrockets even further away from the competition. It is such a blast. If you have not played Mistweaver Monk, definitely try it out, because you are going to be punching and kicking and doing a very fun damage rotation, and then interacting with your damage rotation by then casting Vivifies and capitalizing on all of the free hots that your damage rotation gives you. And don't get me wrong, every healer has a very large learning curve, but you can jump start on that Mistweaver learning curve by just maintaining Jadefire Teachings. Just make sure you Jadefire Stomp and stand on it ever so often to maintain those buffs, and then do your damage rotation, and you're already halfway there. I promise you, it is such a blast. Definitely try out Mistweaver Monk if you haven't already this season. Also, feel free to try out Resto Shaman. Holy Priest is a great time right now. Resto Druid is a great time, and then so is Preservation Evoker. And don't get me wrong, all of the other healers are a great time. I just wanted to kind of pick my 3 that I recommend that you guys try. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure that you're subscribed, because YouTube has been doing a weird thing where they will unsubscribe you, so just double check that you are subscribed. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out if you agree with my 3 choices, and then if you don't agree, comment down below what your 3 choices and what you recommend that people watching this video looking for an alt should play right now at the end of the season. Guys, thank you so much for all of the support lately for the series that we're working on, trying to get all of the healers to 2500 IO by the end of the season. 7 0 to KSHs in one season it's been such a challenge trying to fit it all into just 3 streams a week, but you guys are making those streams so much fun over at twitch.tv/LBNinja7, or even those of you who tune in here on YouTube on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 1 p.m. Central. Thank you guys so much for the support to the stream. Make sure you follow on Twitch, subscribe here on YouTube. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. And guys, I am so excited for 11.0.7. It's going to be a blast. I have a lot of content planned, so stay tuned for that. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care, guys.